So, one of the most common misconceptions that most women figure out the hard way, that includes me, is that thinking, hey, he's religious, therefore he must be safe. Not always. In fact, most of the time, this isn't true. But how do you spot these wolves in sheep's clothing? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a healthy marriage as a Muslim. I'm Zara Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4 years.
And if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. It really, really helps us out. And before we get started, I should announce that I'm working on a pretty exciting project for the single ladies who have no idea where to actually find a husband. If you know that you're supposed to tie your camel but are not sure how to do that exactly beyond downloading a dating app, stay tuned. I will be making an announcement next week that can help you directly, In Shaa Allah. But for now, let's get started.
Let's get started again.
Okay. So this week's episode is entitled The Spiritual Narcissist. So what do you think we mean by that?
The spiritual narcissist is a person who claims to be religious in order to get the upper hand in conversations or topics or things like that. Like they might try to find someone who is less knowledgeable about the religion than they are and try to basically convince them or gaslight them that something in the religion allows them to behave in such a way that gives them an advantage.
Have you come across people like this?
No.
Just at all, ever?
No.
Okay, all right. What about when you were searching for a spouse?
No.
All right, so I've come across quite a few of them, particularly when searching for a spouse. Not so much in the masjid. Not really. Because spiritual narcissism, just like all types of narcissism, exists on a spectrum. So I'm not really talking about the aunties in the masjid who are, sort of like lording over you and saying, hey, you're supposed to do things this way and not that way. That's not what we're referring to. We're referring to something a little bit more sinister. And in order to highlight that, I think the best way to do that would be to go through a question. To show how it presents in real life, and then we'll go through the different features and definitions. Yeah. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So this question I found on the Muslim Marriage subreddit. Surprise, surprise. It was posted quite some time ago, so hopefully this individual's identity is completely anonymous. But it says... this is a story of what happened to a close friend and went on for a couple of years, and this guy still tries to get in contact with her to this day. So it's posted by somebody who's speaking about their friend who is a woman.
Yeah.
So it says, she met him on a Muslim app. He had a good professional job, had a beard, prayed 5 times a day, was active in his local mosque and volunteered and gave Islamic talks. He had a very serious profile on the app, which spoke about intentions for marriage and what he was looking for in a spouse, which drew her to his profile. After speaking on the app, they exchanged phone numbers and he started to send her pictures of himself. She tried to block him, but he found ways of getting in touch via other social media and blackmailed her into feeling guilty for what she had seen and made her feel sorry for him. And how he was sorry and he emotionally manipulated her. So she kept coming back to speak to him time after time. The same person also had an addiction, and he used to say a lot of inappropriate things to my friend. He also told her to not trust her friends or tell us about him, and she was naive and was drawn into him because she felt he was a good person deep down. She found out he was talking to multiple girls and even on Tinder. They eventually met in person and he insulted her and said she looked bigger in person and not as he had imagined. And he was speaking to someone else, so he wanted to end things with her. The same friend had experienced other Muslim guys who have religious profiles actually becoming inappropriate in messages or disclosing that they have addictions. She is now done with Muslim apps in general, and her experience has been that all guys are just inappropriate. But this is hidden in their religious profiles too. Sharing with this with others to warn people about the possibility of men who come across as religious on these apps but have bad intentions. They may actually pray 5 times a day and work in a mosque, but this doesn't make them pious husbands or avoid them having issues such as addictions, and or avoiding them speaking inappropriately to women. So this goes on, but I think this is the part that's relevant for our purposes. What do you think?
Like for me, it seems like the title of that post should have been, "My friend got slapped in the face. She came back to get punched."
Yeah, but that's the power of manipulation, especially when you're... See, the thing is, when you are like there... Let me give an example, right? Many years ago, I think many years ago, I remember reading that they had discovered an island. And on this island, there were these little furry mammals, right? Was it the quokka? I don't remember the name of it. These little furry mammals that were adorable.
Yeah.
And when the people came onto the island, these mammals came right up to them to see who they were and what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why they did that is because they had no idea that being abused was possible.
Yeah.
So in that same way, she described her friend as being naive. And her friend believed that this person is religious. He would never actually intend to harm me. That's the dangerous misconception.
Yeah.
And that if he is harming me, it's not his fault because of this happening in his childhood, this happening in his past, the common excuses that are given. So when you're in the manipulation and you can't see it, you're just not being able to see it. So that's the reason why we're doing this series on manipulation, in order to help people understand that you don't walk up to the humans.
Yeah.
Right? So that there are dangerous people with dangerous intentions out there.
To expand on that with the animals,
yes.
Recently we found out there was actually a young Asian kid who discovered that fears are transmitted through DNA for animals. Right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that the animals that have never seen humans as a species, as a collective, were not scared of humans. But a snake could be born in the wild, never come across a human, and still try to escape a human.
Yeah.
Because one of their ancestors had a bad experience with a human.
Yeah.
And that passed on.
Very interesting. The more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know. But do you see how this is not entirely her fault?
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah. I think
it's strange how she managed to get blackmailed into something that she actually didn't do wrong.
That comes with the naivety.
Do
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially this question was from quite some time ago, back when social media was probably new, and there just wasn't the education or the savvy or the know-how that people tend to have today.
Yeah.
Right? So this was the story of an individual who's fairly naive. Now, with respect to the gentleman that she came across, what are your thoughts?
You mean the evil guy?
Yeah, the evil guy in this case.
Yeah, I mean, like he awful piece of work, isn't he?
Have you seen, like, definitely the narcissism or manipulation or just being an overall not great person, right? It's not unique to men, and it's not unique to women. It happens across genders, right? I've seen cases where back when I was coaching men, where their spouses were clearly manipulators, profound manipulators on some extent, to the point where they weren't able to see their children, to the point that the police had been involved due to false allegations, provable false allegations and things like that. But so it exists on both sides of the spectrum. So I've seen it on the women's end. Have you seen it on the men's end?
Men being manipulated?
Yeah, no, like brothers who would probably be like this brother, who would use
manipulation.
Yeah, who would use religion as a tool to seem like somebody that they're not?
Um, sure, I guess, but it's hard to tell because then how do you see the person's heart?
Exactly, right? So because this brother was showing a face, a version of himself to the community, to the point that he was giving Islamic talks in public places, it sounds like, right? So he was giving an impression that I am somebody who can be trusted, because I have knowledge of the religion and these are the things that I do. See how I can be trusted. However, whenever there is a romantic relationship, in this context, a talking stage for the purpose of marriage, that's when you start to see parts of the mask fall off, right? So that's why it's important to understand that who you see in public based on their profile, social media, or even just what you've seen of them in person, just always keep in the back of your mind that all of that needs to be confirmed in reality. Like nothing is a given. Everybody is guilty until proven innocent, right? To some degree. Like I don't want to make anyone paranoid, but to some degree understand the reality that not everyone is who they say they are. So with respect to spiritual narcissism, let's define that. And then let's talk about how it presents in the marriage market for Muslims. I think there are two types. We're going to go through those two types in some detail. And explain how to differentiate between them, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So the best definition that I've come across for spiritual narcissism says, it refers to individuals who use religion, faith, or moral authority as a tool for control, superiority, and manipulation rather than genuine spirituality. So their intention is manipulation. Their intention is not genuine spirituality.
Yeah.
Okay. With respect to what I've seen, generally there are two types. I call them those who are intentional manipulators and those who are unintentional manipulators.
I'm interested in the second type.
The unintentional, right? The reason, you'll see why I differentiated them into two categories in a minute. So with respect to the intentional, these tend to be people who are narcissists or have narcissistic tendencies, traits somewhere on the spectrum, right? Their intention is to bend religion to fit a pre-existing agenda that serves their purposes. So when they read, so we're Muslim, when we say religion in our context, we're talking about Islam, but this happens across all religions. Sometimes religions they create themselves, called cults, right?
Yeah.
Within the context of Islam. So this will be people who read an ayah of the Quran or read a hadith, right? And then they take this information and they bend it to suit an agenda that they already had. In the case of the narcissist, the reason why they're doing this is to use this information as a means of control and authority.
Yeah.
Right? So look, this ayah says this hadith says this, therefore it gives me it will give me some level of control or authority over you.
Yeah.
In the case of spiritual narcissists, it's more common to see it amongst men than women, simply because it's easier for them to use the religion to bend to their will. In some cases, you will also see it in the case of parents to children. So you'll have narcissistic parents who'll be selecting ayats of the Quran or hadiths of the Quran, hadiths of our texts to be able to honestly harm their children.
Yeah.
Right? Seemingly without consequences. So it's the people who are using it to harm people who are more vulnerable than them. Okay. The reason why the factor that differentiates them from those who are unintentional is the fact that they already had a pre-existing agenda. And that means that whenever you present them with an clear proof that their interpretation of this hadith or their interpretation of this ayah is wrong, just clear proof, undeniable proof, they'll ignore it or dismiss it. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter. It
doesn't match up.
Exactly. Their interest is in their agenda. So that's how you're able to identify that this person is likely an intentional narcissist, like in more academic terms rather than in the talking stage.
Yeah.
Just so you have an understanding. Now let's talk a little bit about the unintentional.
Let me take a guess on that. Okay. Unintentional narcissist?
Yes.
Okay. My guess on an unintentional narcissist, and I guess it's manipulator, right?
Manipulator, yeah, not narcissists. Okay. They're manipulators.
Unintentional manipulator is like a husband asking his wife to cook him some food.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
In a sense, he is now affecting her future actions.
Okay.
Right? That's a manipulation of some sort, but he's not intending to manipulate her. He's just asking her, how close am I?
Is this because of what happened earlier?
No.
No,
I'm legitimately asking, is that what an unintentional manipulator is?
No, not really, right? No, this is like to the same degree of the auntie in the masjid saying, hey, you're supposed to put your hands here when you're in sujood.
Okay, so she's trying to help you.
Yes, exactly, right? So it's not really narcissism. It's just somebody telling you what they think, what their understanding of the religion, right? And their intention and what happens is not really affecting your life or harming your life.
Yeah.
Or your sense of well-being. It's when it gets to the level of harming your well-being that it becomes an unintentional manipulation. And the degree to which this person is imposing their will or imposing their version upon you. All right, so let's go a little bit back to definitions. The way that I define the unintentional manipulator is somebody who sincerely, in a sincere way, misunderstands the religious text.
Okay.
Right? So they're doing their best. Their intention is, I'm trying to sincerely worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do what I'm commanded to do. But their understanding is warped of the religion. And the reason why is because usually they're being mentored by or following somebody who is an intentional manipulator.
I get it.
Yeah. But this is not unique to one or two misunderstandings of one or two areas.
Yeah.
I mean, a pervasive misunderstanding. And the reason why it's a pervasive misunderstanding is
total misunderstanding.
Yeah, in major areas of their life. Like they'll understand about you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. They're not out there praying 6 times a day.
Yeah.
Right? But however, because the people who are mentoring them likely have their own agenda, and they are selecting parts of the religious text in order to serve that agenda. So there will be large sections of the religion that they'll misunderstand. The most common is with respect to how they're supposed to treat women. The understanding of the capability of women, the role and position of women in Islam, as well as their understanding of how they're supposed to treat them consequentially. So if you remember a couple of episodes back, we did an episode called The Problem with Red Pill Muslims.
Yeah.
So there will be people who, for whatever reason, have this, for lack of a better term, red pill understanding of our religion, even though there's no such thing, right? So this understanding that women are somehow inferior, and they really emphasize this in the things that they say, and therefore the people who they're teaching, their intention is sincerely to follow the religion, and they're thinking, oh, this person knows better than me, let me follow their understanding. And so now this individual who is the follower is in the marriage market, comes across a woman and says, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Right?
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to treat me. And this is the treatment you're supposed to accept. And it becomes pervasive to a level that it's now harming his partner. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His initial intention is not to harm the partner. His initial intention is to follow the religion.
Yeah.
But however, the person he's following, their intention is for them to harm the partner.
It's basically the equivalent of the people who invent a new sect versus those who follow them thinking that they're correct.
Yeah.
Or it's like the revert who joins an offshoot sect of Islam, thinking that whoever it is that gave him da'wah is on the correct gain.
Exactly. So this is bigger than just one or two incidents. This is a pervasive misunderstanding of things that can affect your day-to-day life. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between the unintentional manipulator and the intentional manipulator is that the former one, the unintentional manipulator, if you present them with proofs by someone he respects, because don't forget, the most common issue here is their overall lack of respect of women, because that's what they're taught, right?
Yeah.
So if you bring them another man or an imam or just somebody he respects who shows them the proof and says, here, what you've understood is incorrect. This is what Islam says about women here. This is how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated women and told us to treat women.
Yeah.
And to correct that understanding, he would accept it. Does that make sense? He would be able to accept it.
Yeah.
Because his initial intention is to do what's right, not to harm women.
Yeah, but even the woman who's being affected could just say, hey, watch this YouTube video.
But the issue is if he doesn't, because I've seen it. I have had so many clients who their issue, particularly sometimes revert clients, right? Because don't forget, with clients women who are reverts, they have an additional vulnerability because they are not certain about what their religion is yet, right? I'm speaking about newer reverts, not reverts who have been Muslim for a long time. So when they come across an individual who's this unintentional manipulator who's telling them, no, this is what your relationship with Allah is supposed to be, it's just much heavier and much more scary than it's supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to treat me, you have all of these things, then I've seen clients become very close to leaving Islam, right? Because it just feels so heavy and just misaligned with what they thought Islam was in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Therefore, that's why it's important to be able to understand the difference between these two, but more important to be able to understand how to spot both individuals and to avoid both individuals, because they will make your life very, very difficult. Both can be very dangerous, right? So they can make a person's life very difficult. Let's talk a little bit about how to spot them. So how do you think you'd be able to spot, we'll say, the intentional manipulator in a talking stage? How do they present?
Loud, boisterous, and overly confident.
Yeah. About what, though?
About anything that they talk about.
That's true. But what's their favorite subject?
In this specific context, religion.
Yeah. Yeah. So they do things to be seen in religion, right? So they will reach, again, don't forget that narcissism exists on a spectrum. So there are people who are on the lower end of the spectrum, people are on the higher end of the spectrum. Those who are on the higher end of the spectrum, particularly overt narcissists, we spoke about that in a previous episode, difference between overt and covert, particularly overt narcissists, they will typically reach higher levels in the religion. Just like narcissists in the corporate world tend to reach higher levels in their companies because they are fairly driven to make sure that they achieve these things. Yeah. So they will do a lot to make sure that they are seen by their community. They can be speakers very often, teachers very often. I'm not saying that all speakers or teachers or even imams are narcissists. I'm saying that when you are in the marriage market and you come across somebody who tells you, I'm an imam, I'm a teacher, I'm a speaker, keep in the back of your mind that this does not exclude them. This does not automatically make them safe.
Yeah.
Right? So their telltale sign of a intentional manipulator, intentional narcissist, is they do things to be seen that they are practicing. And in conversation, they will take each opportunity to sort of one-up you. When you're speaking to them and religious matters come up, they'll one-up you. Another feature of intentional narcissists is what we saw in the question, that what they say about themselves and who they present themselves to be doesn't match up with their actions. They will actually often be more inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, this is all a facade. Right? So they will be more inappropriate, less respectful of the boundaries that are there during the talking stage. So let's talk a little bit also about their interest in you as an individual. So when you are in a talking stage with an intentional manipulator, are they going to ask you questions about yourself? Do they want to know about what you like to do, about your family? Are they going to ask you these things?
No.
They will. Weirdly, they will.
Oh.
Right? So they will actually want to go deep into what's going on with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're okay. I guess they're researching for vulnerability.
Yes. Right? Because a narcissist is gonna narcissist, right?
Yeah.
So in the talking stage, you're gonna do all of the things that we spoke about in the previous episode. I think it was called The Stages of a Talking Stage with a Narcissist. Not clear on the title, but you'll see it. It's not that far back. So they're going to do all those things. Now let's talk a little bit about a unintentional manipulator. With respect to asking you questions about yourself and who you are, the things that you like to do, are they going to ask you about those things?
No.
Yeah, they will have absolutely zero interest. Like you could even volunteer information and they'll skip right off over it because their understanding of what a woman is so low, that why have any interest? Like, why would you want to know anything about what she wants to do? That she is a cardboard cutout of a person who fulfills a specific role in your life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? She's not an individual with opinions, hopes, and dreams.
Is it possible for an unintentional narcissist to be one such, not involving a woman being perceived as low?
Like you're saying that there are other kinds?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely there are other kinds, unintentional manipulators, because they themselves are not.
Okay, manipulators.
Because they're not narcissists, right? Yeah. They came across the wrong teacher.
Unintentional manipulators, yeah.
Yes, but
they can be unintentional manipulators and still have a high perception of women, like Islam would say.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Just they have a different unintentional manipulation.
Yeah, it depends on who they're manipulating.
Yeah.
Right? So who they were taught to manipulate. In those instances,
then the woman could feasibly...
Depends on what they were taught.
Help them. Okay.
Yeah, 100% depends on who their teacher is and what their teacher taught them.
Yeah.
So this tends to be by and far the most common version. But there are definitely other types, right? So for example, they might be taught wrong things about how to treat your children.
Yeah.
Like that your children, and they might unintentionally manipulate their children and be overly harsh and overly strict and borderline abusive to their children.
Yeah.
Right? So that it depends on what their understanding of Islam is, but what differentiates them from the intentional manipulator is the fact that they're sincerely trying to do what they think is correct. That's their only agenda, is to try to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their issue is that they have the wrong information.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a telltale sign that when you are in a talking stage with somebody and you're worried, this person, speaks a lot about religion and they don't really make space for me to have my own understanding of religion despite me providing these proofs. This person is like very overwhelming, overpowering, right? They might say things like, listen, Eid is on this day. It's not on that day. It's on this day. You need to celebrate on this day.
Yeah. You
need to either keep fasting or break your fast, depending on which day they say. And even though you're providing all these proofs and text saying, look, it says here, it says here, it says here. This is an accepted, according to my understanding, based on what these scholars have said. They still are not able to accept that, or it feels like they're judging you a lot, right? And you have that, and you're wondering, hey, I might be dealing with a religious manipulator. And your next question is this intent? Well, actually, the next thing you should do is walk away, right? But let's say for academic reasons, you wanted to know, is this intentional or unintentional manipulator?
Yeah.
The way you differentiate that is, are they interested in your humanity as a person? Like, are they asking you questions about you, things that you like to do, your hopes, your dreams, your opinions? If they are not asking you those questions and they have no interest in that, this is most likely somebody who's an unintentional manipulator who just has a low opinion of women based on what they understood about the religion, right? And those people can be redirected by other people in the community by presenting to them, no, the person you've been following is actually pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Please follow these other people instead.
Yeah.
Right? Those people can be redirected, and I've seen it happen. Okay, so those are some of the ways. We've spoken a lot about the intentional manipulators. Let's speak a little bit more about the unintentional manipulators. Another feature that the unintentional manipulators have is that they will constantly or frequently quote the individuals who they are following, their mentors.
Yeah.
So they'll speak a lot about, hey, but so-and-so said, so-and-so's, and so-and-so's name keeps coming up over and over and over again. And when you look up their mentors, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, it's not a scholar.
It's just someone that has a mention.
Yeah, it's somebody who is a public-facing figure, who has very little in the way of actual credentials.
Who's making a lot of money off of these people.
Yes, because the scholars, the people who actually learn the religion, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and are not narcissists. They do not manipulate for their own agendas. It's scary, right?
And this guy goes around talking about his Bugatti.
Bugatti?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a deep reference. Do you mean Bugatti, but Bugatti?
Bugatti.
All right. Let's see if anyone can figure out what that reference is in the comments. Another feature of the unintentional manipulator is that they will actually be more sincere in their acts of worship. So they will be much more studious. They'll be studying all of the time. Whereas the intentional narcissists, that public-facing figure, is not really reading. They're not really reading. They're not really studying. They already have the information that they have, and because they don't really care about learning the religion. But the unintentional manipulator will be reading a lot, with the skewed understanding of what they're reading, will be very diligent in their acts of worship. You know, they'll be praying Qiyam al-Layl. They'll be fasting the extra fasts. They'll be going further than they should, than what's normal, right?
Yeah.
And there are hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about people like that. So these are hopefully provides an understanding of how to recognize both of these individuals. And when you come across either of these individuals in your DMs or in your parents' living room, as someone else has brought them to your house for you to meet, it's really important that you walk away. I have seen some pretty women describing some pretty terrible things happening in those marriages. So walk away. Are there any questions? Does all of that make sense?
Yeah, there was this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was this religious leader.
Okay.
Who was not Muslim, one of the other faiths.
Yes.
Who had come up with this decree that said, anything that I say is what God says.
Oh.
Right? And his students had said, it's raining today because of you, O teacher.
A'udhu billah.
Right? It had gotten to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the other religious leaders had agreed with that one guy.
Oh.
They had agreed with that one guy because that guy began to change the religion to benefit them, the leaders.
Of course.
Right? And to bring them money and whatnot. Bring them money, women, following, and things like that. But the students, I would imagine, are the unintentional manipulators because they're following that one religious leader, and the one religious leader was an intentional manipulator. Is that like an example of such?
Yes, absolutely. Right? Like, so this is somebody who is using religious texts for their own purposes, and then their followers are unintentionally also becoming manipulators, despite their sincerity. Yeah, absolutely. This is a very common pattern in human civilization. I remember there was a book, I can't remember the title of the book. It's similar to A Brief History of Time or something. It's not the Stephen Hawking book, right? I can't remember the title, but in this book, it reviewed the common patterns in civilization by examining 3 different civilizations, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that was extracted is that the empires that would fall, or in one case, the village that fell, is because somebody would emerge and say, hey, I have a direct relationship with God. And therefore, instead of worshiping God, you should worship me, or I will mediate between you and God. Almost always they would say that. And then therefore, because there is an innate understanding that there is somebody or something bigger, greater than us. It's in our fitra.
Yeah.
And so religion in general provides ready-made puppet strings.
Yeah.
That we all have. And people who have bad intentions can pull on those puppet strings for their own purposes. Now, Islam is different from other religions, alhamdulillah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it so that the Quran can never be changed.
Yeah.
So that is a huge protection against those puppet strings. So that if somebody comes and says, hey, you should worship me, I should be a mediator, etc., that's not going to work because we already have the Quran and it's complete.
Yeah.
Whereas with other religions, where the texts are less static, they're much more dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, verses can be introduced, statements, whole books and volumes can be introduced that can push a population this way or that way according to the people's whims, right?
Yeah.
So this is a common tactic that is used by actual narcissists, is by using religion to pull on the people's puppet strings in the direction that they want. Now, the context that the type of that we're talking about that's important for our purposes is with respect to individuals who are doing that because they want somebody to control and to manipulate for their purposes.
And just to set the precedent here,
okay,
usually it's not going to be super obvious, right? Even the Dajjal, when he first arrives, he's not going to say, worship me.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
He's going to go through different levels, you know? First, he's going to say something like, oh, I'm a leader, or oh, I'm a prophet, right? And then he's going to say, oh, I'm a king, or things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it starts out as like, hey, I'm a leader, and then, hey, I'm a king, and then, hey, I'm a prophet, and you know what? I'm God.
Yeah.
Right? So he goes through different levels, right? And in the same sense of manipulators, narcissists, they're not going to immediately go full send on you.
No.
They're going to go different levels.
The more sophisticated ones are going to take their time.
Yeah.
The less sophisticated ones, right? The ones who are more erratic, like the current president of the United States.
Like the one that we saw here in this post.
Yes. Those are the...
shot a picture.
Right away.
And then immediately said, no, this is your fault.
Yes. And you know what's interesting that I probably should highlight here just before we end the episode is he chose her for a reason. Yeah. He could see the naivety. Do you see what I'm saying? He probably spotted it in her profile. They know what naivety looks like from minimal language. You could say 2 sentences to somebody, and I've seen it. I've spoken to narcissists who have confirmed this, right? Like diagnosed narcissists. You can say literally 2 sentences out loud, and they will know where they can take you. They will know how naive you are. They will know how vulnerable you are, because the way in which you speak gives a giant spotlight into what you think of yourself. The language that you choose, some of that language will leave open holes or speak to how your insecurities, whereas other language provides surety and confidence, projects confidence, right? So the people who were confident, their profiles he skipped past and landed on hers, because I guarantee her profile projected that there was a lot of vulnerability in there. Yeah. So it's important to also know and understand how to write your profile. It's the first step of protecting yourself against from these people. More on that next week when I announce how it is I'm going to help you meet more people if you are a single woman looking for a husband. Yeah. So I think that's everything. Is there anything else that we missed?
No, that is everything.
Okay, so we forgot to say Eid Mubarak. Right, so to Eid Mubarak to everybody.
Eid Mubarak.
I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your fasts and all of your efforts. including for those people who are unable to fast. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your efforts, forgive you, and put you in an even better position next Ramadan. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So if you have made it this far into the episode, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. We really appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us. It really does mean a lot to us. If you are listening to this on one of the other podcast platforms that's not YouTube, I know if it would really help us out if you could just go onto our YouTube page and subscribe, because it helps us to reach more people with, I think, information that is important for our community. And that's everything. So Jazakallah Khair. Have a wonderful week, and Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.